Hello, we are going to be making a compost bin and I am going to do it on the cheap. Now I got this Rubbermaid bin. It's pretty tough. It's cost less than 10 bucks brand new, and what I really like about it is the lid seals on nice and strong, and I don't want non-decomposers to be breaking in here and causing a mess. I also want this to hold in the moisture because it's very dry here, so that all the microbes and other critters living in our compost bin can do their job. The first thing that I am going to do is I need to have some of our moisture drain out the bottom. You don't want to have water pool in there, so I need to put holes in the bottom of this container. Now I have a drill for this, but feel free if you don't have a drill and you want to do something like this, just be creative. You just need to poke holes in it. You can get an old nail, you get one of those really pointy looking screwdrivers and just stab at it a bunch. You can get in a screw and screw in and unscrew it. You will get those holes that you need. So that's what we're going to do first, is some drilling. Oh, so much power. Now that we have our holes in the bottom of this bin, holy compost bins, Batman, we need to put something in the bottom. Now, there are a lot of different things people do under here. I think what people who want to keep everything completely natural will do is they'll collect fallen leaves and leaf litter. But unfortunately, we've done a pretty good job of cleaning that up around our house, so we don't have any. What we do have a lot of are newspapers. So you can feel free to rip your newspaper into thin strips and put them in here. Now you're going to want a couple inches thick of newspaper strips. If you don't have newspapers, you could use any other paper that would be recyclable, and a lot of those would also be able to break down in the bottom of one of these bins. So now we got this full of newspaper or old scrap paper, your old IUEs maybe, all ripped up and shredded nice and small, maybe even some leaf litter or something like that. We need to put some good dirt on it. Right, so didn't get enough dirt out of the newspapers. We're gonna put some real dirt on there. Now, the ideal here is you want to get living dirt. What I mean by that is this should come from, your yard or somewhere else that's been outdoors and interacting with the living world for a little while. Now, the reason for that is it's going to already have all our decomposing bacteria and critters in there. And that's going to do most of the work for us. We don't have to go find some from somewhere else. Now, I am just starting this out, so I want to fill it in now up to about halfway with this dirt. Maybe after everything's gone and gets going and stuff like that, I won't need to fill it as much. But yeah, it's halfway full of dirt and it just needs to be kept moist and it's ready for composting. The last bit we're going to do before we get it started is we need to place the lid on here, and we need some holes in the top too. Things need to breathe. I'm going to put fewer holes up top because I don't want everything to evaporate, but I'll just get some holes going in here and then we'll be ready to go. Alright, so after we filled up our soil and our newspaper scraps in here, we want to get it moist in here. We want to make sure it's damp. Now it's really important that we don't get this too wet. You really don't want it soggy or soaking wet. But you need it always to be a little bit damp for things to work. Now, the holes on the bottom are going to help make sure any excess water leaks out the bottom. But again, maybe once a week, or maybe each time you go out there to put scraps in there, you put a little bit of water on it. All right, one thing I should mention is you should keep your compost bin somewhere that is easily accessible, but you need to have it somewhere that it's going to not get too hot or too much sun. Because A, you don't want it to overheat, and B, you don't want it to dry out too quickly. If you have a part of your house or another building or wall at your house where it's you can put this on the north facing side of it, it's going to make sure it doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight. So look around your house multiple times a day and try to find somewhere you can put a bin like this where it's going to stay relatively in the shade most of the time. All right, so we're going to be getting started with our compost. But first we're going to take some of our kitchen scraps. Now the big thing they say is kitchen scraps, not dinner scraps. So you want to make sure that the things you're putting in here, at least for me when I'm getting things started, and because I'm not using any kind of specialized system, I'm literally doing the cheapest thing possible, I'm going to be working with vegetable scraps and other things like that mostly. And the big deal is most of the stuff I'm going to be putting in there is raw. I am using a small and clear jar in the kitchen to keep my scraps in before I go and take them outside. Now, the reason it's small is because if it's a big one, then I am going to leave doing the work of putting it outside for so long that it's going to start decomposing in here and it might get a little gross. That's also why I keep it clear. This is going to make it so I remember, hey, that thing's getting full or it's been there for a little while. Let's go take it outside and churn it into our dirt and make some new soil, right? So it's good to have a clear one, something that you can keep right next to your stuff in the kitchen so that you remember to go and put it away, right? And also keep you staring at it and before you see your trash can. So you go there first and think, is this something I can decompose instead of throw into the trash can? We're going to take our kitchen scraps and we're going to be putting them in the compost bin. Now this is really important here, is you can't just throw them all on top. I mean you could, they just won't decay as quickly. So go ahead and empty all of these kitchen scraps out, and maybe I should have picked a jar with a wider mouth, but this will work just fine for now. I'll keep my eyes peeled for one. And the next thing, this is the important part, is you need to bury them. Make sure that you get them mixed into the soil. Now they don't need to be all completely underground. It's not like we're trying to hide these vegetables from anyone, right? But if these are covered mostly with the dirt, we are going to cover them with also those decomposers and let them get to work decomposing this. Now, after a while, you may notice this is getting full, and that's fine. But if everything in here isn't decomposed yet by the time it gets full, just throw the lid on and leave it aside for a couple months. When you come back, you'll have nice, fresh, rich soil for planting, and you will have significantly cut the amount of waste that you're sending to the dump, right? Being a good steward for the land. One thing I should note, you definitely want to watch out for putting too much coffee grains in here because that's going to add too much acidity. And you have to watch out for any animal products, oils, fats, meat, things like that, because the things that are going to come to break those things down are going to leave some nasty smells, or in the case of raccoons, a big mess in your backyard. If you do have a problem with too many critters coming to your backyard to try to peel off this lid, you can try to put something heavy on top of it. Try not to block the air holes. Just make it a little harder for them to lift off the lid. Well, that's it. We're going to see how well this thing goes. We're going to try to keep it going. And if it fills up and is working really successfully, I might make a second one so we can rotate them. Thanks for checking us out.
I wanted to thank you for checking out this video. One of the things I want to add is, well, there's a few things I want to add. First of all, this is one of many types of compost solutions. There are several, and you should look into different options that might work for you and your family based on your lifestyle and your housing and things like that. There's also just many, many different types. Well, some that have like live worms that you're going to be adding into them that work really good at dealing with some things. There are big rotating ones that kind of help will churn out soil. There's some that where you actually will collect this, the liquid drippings underneath and have really good fertilizer for your plants and things like that. There are a lot of options. Actually, there are some that just stay the entire time in your kitchen. So again, lots of different options. Please look online and consider these things. And I would additionally add that you should look into what is actually allowed to go into the green bin that you might have at your house, because you might be surprised at some of the things that could go in there that you're not putting in there. That goes to Department of Sanitation's own composting facility, where they're going to turn that into soil and mulch and things like that, where so that people come pick it up and use that for landscaping as well. So again, another great way to make sure less of your food ends up in the landfill. Now, you may be wondering, if my food is going to break down anyways, why is it bad for it to go to the landfill? And that has to do with specifically how most landfills are set up. Most landfills are set up where they are going to seal in each layer of trash with a pretty much airtight covering. And there are a few problems. Well, the big one is that while yes, that food is biodegradable and will eventually decompose, it's not going to decompose in a way that's really best for the environment. And what I mean by that is that it's going to be mostly decomposing in an abiotic or not sorry, an anaerobic way. That means without the presence of oxygen, that's going to make it produce a lot of methane gas. Methane gas is like 20 to 30 times more potent of a greenhouse gas than CO2 is. Now, the decomposers in your compost bin are going to be releasing mostly CO2, right? So it is a greenhouse gas, but it's part of a cycle, because that CO2 is going to be released, and then when you put that soil on your dirt, or dirt on your plants, it's going to help those plants grow, and it's going to bring back in that CO2, creating a cycle for that CO2, and not just releasing this gas that's a really bad greenhouse gas. In addition, all that food you're putting into the landfill means they need to build more landfill. That means tearing down natural areas to add space for these landfills, when instead you could be taking those things and making them part of a beautiful landscape with lush growth all around it, instead of a scar on the land. All right. So anyways, I hope that you are really considering making your own compost solution, or finding out how you contribute to the city's one. Or neighborhood ones. Some neighborhood farms or neighborhood community gardens will accept scraps and stuff like that for their own compost as well. So really consider looking into that. If you like this video, I'm going to try to make more videos about gardening and maintaining plant life and just little things like that. Maybe some stuff around the home, some ideas and hacks to make things a little bit more environmentally friendly around here, or things just to alleviate my boredom, and I could let you guys follow along. So if you like this, I guess you could hit like and subscribe. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but give it a try, and I will try to be producing these through the summer to keep you entertained. All right, thanks for checking that out.